Welcome back to Satisfactory. Now, since the last episode, I have been busy, but more or less just duplicating all of the stuff that I already did with the previous episode, where I made this mall here, and this is for the basic products, as I explained in the previous episode. And then I have set up this for the, I guess we will be dubbing these the tier 2 products. So we have rubber, we have plastic, we have modular frames, we have reinforced iron plates, we have stators, we have rotors, we have motors, we have steel pipes, we have steel beams, and we have the encased industrial beams. So I built this little walkway here that we can go down to look at this beauty underneath here. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Some of the products are obviously slower than the other ones, as you can see. Whereas some of them are pretty instant because they are products that doesn't really take that much time to make, and we have a lot of production for them. Having a lot of production for modular frames, for instance, that takes some undertaking in terms of resources, whereas having plastic or steel pipes, not so much. So this can be seen from above through the floor, and I'm pretty happy with the result there. And then we have the next floor of the factory, which is where all of the heavy stuff is going to take place. I've done some preliminary work here in regards to these 3 manufacturers. So this is a rather large area, or large floor, I guess. I think I mentioned that I wasn't going to go all the way up to the scorpion's tail. So that one is going to be having its dedicated hole in the floor. And of course it'll be fenced in, like this. I don't know how much I can build underneath it, but I think it should be fine. I've also extended the floor out this way. And this was a fairly time-consuming process to put down all of these foundations. But we have the belts coming in underneath here, and there's lots of crisscrossing going on underneath. And I do like the fact that we can see everything through the floor. I don't know if we're going to go too far out that way, because I think the miners are going to be in the way. So this might very well be the end. I might go a few more tiles. We have 4 ramps going up. I don't think I've completed this one properly yet. And then we have all the stuff going on underneath, of course. So we have the encased beams. I just put up 2 manufacturers there in case we need more of them. These going down here, and they meet up over here together with the steel beams. Oh, I haven't closed the floor here. Meet up with the steel beams, and the steel beams come out of this container, whereas half go up and half go down. Now it seems that everything goes up, because that probably means the container over at the mall is full. We can go downstairs and have a look at what it looks like. I need to power this thing up. There we go. So you can see there are belts going along over there, and here we're going to have some weirdness because of the floors. But all the magnificent products are coming in underneath. This, of course, saves us from having the issue of ginormous 20-something tall bus going on inside the base. Instead, we just elegantly hide everything underneath the floor, and I like that quite a bit, actually. You can see that things are squiggling along around here. One of these foundations have a lot of things squiggling along, if I don't recall wrongly. Where is it? It's here. Here we have all kinds of things going on. So there's a fairly large room under here, actually, with the walls encasing it in. Here's where the modular frames are coming from. I made this swirl here so that I can add more machines for modular frames, and we are going to need that. So another thing that happened was that, well, with the mall, I suddenly noticed that, or heard the dreaded sound of the fuse box running out. So we'll get back to that as well. Here you can see how the belts are coming down from up there. 3 of them. That is the motors, rotors and stators going down on these 3 belts. Then they go back to that column and behind, because I couldn't very well take them through this main ramp going up into the base. Let's have a little drive out to the coal power plant. That slug is a very lucky slug. You can see there's a new belt coming here with coal. And I had to put up new coal generators because of the power outage. But I didn't have room for 16, so I'm using 12. And that cued me noticing something interesting. Those indication lights, when they are white, it indicates that a building has been overclocked. And I hadn't noticed that. I've got probably close to 1,000 hours in Satisfactory, and I just noticed this today, which is fairly interesting. So here we're using the clip through the floor trick. I wanted to show that off. I'm not sure if I like it or not, but if you build the foundation first, I can actually demonstrate, because, yep, that one doesn't go in this foundation, so it's fine. Because you cannot put down a foundation when there's already a pipe there. But if I remove this pipeline, and then I place down one foundation there, and I go to my pipe, you see I can clip it through the floor. This only works with 1x1 foundations. I mean 8x1 foundation, so it wouldn't work if it was an 8x2 foundation, so keep that in mind. So I've clipped all of these through the floor so that we have this interesting look. It doesn't look half bad, because something that I noticed was that it actually removes the liquid indicator when you do this. So it almost seems like the developers intended this to be a thing. All of these coal generators are running at 145% clock speed, which burns 3 coal per second, and it's almost using 240 coal, which is the Mark III belt we're using. You can see 2397.8. I could probably clock one up to 47, maybe 49. Yeah, I could probably do that, and I would get the maximum capacity, but I like having them all on the same clock speed. So this is a C burner T800. I like these little flavor texts. I've also belted in the plastic and the rubber, but there's nothing new to show out there. In the underworks of this place, I haven't colored the pipes either in the new section. It's a little bit of a mess in the new section, to be honest. We have the coal coming down from the lifts here. Oops, sorry. Let's try that again. I had to do some adjustments. Instead of having the lift coming off directly, I made a turn so that the lifts are properly aligned. And then the coal for the 12 generators are coming down this belt here. And then that coal travels along underneath everything in a very interesting... this is something I'm quite fascinated by how I built. And then that coal travels obviously over... come on, over here. And this is the pipe area down here. I should probably remove these foundations. I don't need... Those were for measurements. I haven't removed those after I was done with the measuring for some reason. This one seems to be removable as well. And this one. There we go. So that one is removable too. I only keep the foundations that have conveyors on them. The other ones I like to have the visibility. But here you can see the pipes are going all over the place. There is no tidiness, no neatness, no nothing to the pipes down here. I even have one going straight through the floor up there. Because I couldn't find another way to do it, because there's so little space left for water extractors down here. Now all of these water extractors are running at 100% because of the overclocking, so there's 2 per 4 again, which means I have 6 water extractors down here. And this is probably something of the most, or along the lines of the most messy setup I've had. But at least it's hidden underneath the factory, so it's fine. This looks so much more structured and orderly. Oh. You need to be colored. But I'm not going to bother coloring the other stuff. At least not now. So this is a lot more structure and order too. And yeah. But it works. That's the main thing. And I can't build... well, I could have built it out in the oil area, but I don't want to mess that area up with coal. And I think this will be sufficient power, 2400, until we get the fuel generators up and running. Now, did I do anything else, I wonder? Yeah, I changed that walk path there. I added some foundations and redid this area. So this is the I think this is 3, yeah, all of these 3 are running at 89%. So this is the concrete production for the mall, which means that the other concrete, there is a little bit of overflow at the other concrete, but that is outside of the mall and is used for the encased industrial beams. I straightened out this belt here, so it's as good as straight angled now without using foundations. Anything else? Yeah, I added a hypertube upstairs. Where's the best place to show that off? Probably here, actually. Let's park the car here. And we can go here. And whoomp our way up. And I have the hypertube going through the base here. And the reason for this hypertube is that if I want to put something into the awesome sink, this is a quick way to go from the mall area over to the awesome sink that I have at the other end of this tube. Also, as you may see, it is becoming sunset. I changed some of the settings in that always daylight mod. And the reason for that is the fact that, so this is the container for the awesome sink. The reason why I did that is because if you have the time set to a specific time, the plants, aka the foods, do not regrow. So the game needs the day and night cycle to progress for the foods to regrow. However, when the sun now sets, we can have a look at something that looks kind of funky. I need to change the entrance point to that, because when I come down here, it's all too easy to go in there. Thankfully, you can turn around, but it's a bit of an annoyance. So let's watch the sun set from on top of our lookout tower. It's going down slowly over there. while we wait for that, the plan for this episode is to set up one manufacturer making heavy modular frames. I've been postponing that for quite some time now. And I've prepared the manufacturer down there, and I've set up another one beside it for comparison, and we'll get back to that when we get to that part. The manufacturer down here is just put down because it's going to be a line here of manufacturers making crystal oscillators. But I need the heavy modular frames first before anything else, because we need those for the research in the hub. I've also made that area ready for the well, I need a product bus of some kind up here, so that'll be along the lines from there, because the basic products and tier 2 products are going to be made down there. Although I do suspect that, judging from some of the prices I've seen in these manufacturers, that we might have to expand. As you can see down there, I've already added 4 constructors. Those are for screws. And that container in the middle there is a little bit inconvenient in that regards, but it is also the hole that goes down to the mole belt there, so there is no point in moving it. So I'll just keep it as is because of that. So the night now, with the settings that I've added, lasts for 1 minute instead of 5 minutes, I think. It's going to be dark for a minute or so. I would wonder what the moon looks like when it travels along the sky. One of the things that I've already thought out, which actually was more of a coincidence than anything else, is the fact that I can add containers on top of these. I don't know why I ran down here. We are going to go over to that manufacturer. This manufacturer is the basic recipe for heavy modular frame. And that's something that I said that I would make the basic recipe products before I go into making the advanced alternate recipes. And that is, of course, part of this tutorial series. The heavy modular frames I have here are things that I've picked up in my hard drive trips. I haven't handcrafted a single one of them, which is quite neat. Okay, now it seems to be turning night. The Oon is coming up, and it's moving very rapidly across the sky. So, yeah, that is one way of dealing with the nighttime. That mod is quite useful. But I should add that I only have 3 mods. The minimap mod, the daylight mod, and of course the sign mods. Now we can go back down to the mall so I can show you the little convenient thing that I discovered. To make the heavy modular frames, I have this written down, but let's see it on screen. We need 10 modular frames per minute, which is exactly what we're producing. We need 30 steel pipes per minute. We have ample of those. We need 10 encased industrial beams per minute, which is also exactly what we're producing. And we need 200 screws per minute, which incidentally is what those 4 constructors down there are going to produce. And would you look at that? It's sunrise. So, getting these products up there is going to be quite simple. What I'm going to do is build a storage container with the output on the other side, on top of the encased industrial beams, on top of the steel pipes, and on top of the modular frames. Then, the next thing I'm going to do is add a lift between those two. This will of course start using more power in our factory, because some of the products, like the encased industrial beams, were already full. So that started up those machines over there again, which again then starts up the steel beam machines and so forth. But power-wise, we should be very much in the green, hovering around 1000 megawatts. We have 1,397 to go. The screws, I think we are going to take them that way. I'm not sure if I want to go on height 3 or maybe I should just go up to height 5. I think I'll go up to height 5 because that, come on, that will be the same height as the outputs of those containers. When I'm done with this, I'll probably just remove those containers, refill the industrial storages if applicable, and the rest I'll just put into the sink. 1, 2. And I believe that, at least I hope, no it isn't. I need to move that one. 1, 4, 5, 6, because I think that this belt is going to be crooked. We don't want crooked belts, do we? What? No. Okay. Well, I'm happy with that. Then we need a merger here. And we also need to be able to go around here. So if that's anything to go by, it means that it should be here. Is that correct? Yeah, that works. 2, 3, and 5. I should go to the tier 3 belt because we're transporting 200 on this belt. And we need to do the same on the other side. That's a bit annoying that it doesn't snap to the old ones. But I'm pretty certain that it's supposed to be 3 out. Yeah, it is 3 out. I can see that since I can see the bellow or whatever that is. Because if it's 2, you can't see that. And then we go up to a height of 5. And we need to do this again, and that is placed 1 away from the edge here. So 1, 2. That should give us a nice turn there and a nice turn here. And we can upgrade that to Mark 3 and connect up these 2. And then we can remove all of the additional mergers that we no longer need. And we do this in the belt here. There we go. And like so. And then we need to go back to Mark 1 because each of these are producing 50 per minute, so we need to connect them to the lifts. There we go, and that one, and that one. Now we, the autosaves, take a Mark 3 belt and put it over there. And then we need power. The power is clipping through that container. I know. I'm sure I could fix it, but I am too lazy. There we go, and then we connect up these to one another. Well, I can fix it now, actually. Connect that to there, and then this one can connect to this one, and we're no longer clipping through the container. So what I will do then is remove that power line and connect this one to there, and boom, we are now producing screws. And the other side of this should also be powered. Yes, good. So that's that part taken care of. I just need to check a message quickly. Okay. Now for the interesting venture of getting those products up there. I want to have the screws on the topmost level here. And this is always an interesting challenge. I'm going to end up with screws in my inventory no matter what I do. That looks too high. I think here. Ah! Nailed it. Pun intended. And then we have this one. So we want it to come in on that angle. So we can take it off. Because this is the middle. I'm gonna place the conveyor pole there. But it's just as a marker. It's actually in the middle of the tile, which is quite handy. Okay, so 2 in. No, that's 1 too little. And then finally this one. I like that it actually snaps as well. We can remove that one and that one. So this next product will have on level 5, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think I need to put this up to level 5 as well, just so I can see. Although, no, I don't. Because what I can do here is I can use that other lift there as a gauge. Well, if I have something to look at it properly from. Which would have to be one of these. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I hope so. No. No, it is not. But I have a plan. Or rather a solution. Go up here, and we run here, and we jump, and we land on the lift. Good. That didn't help me anything at all. Is that correct? Nope. I hate placing lifts in heights. I had something that I could use as a... That's probably too high. No, that is correct actually. It's kind of like a touch and go thing. Am I doing this the right way or am I not doing this the right way? Which means we can remove the belt and we can remove these. Because it looks neater to just have it come in like that. We do the same here. This one goes to 4. And this one goes to 3. Let's try to see if we can do it this way. And here we need to be kind of careful. Ooh, oh. Okay. So that looks to be the same height as the one over there. So you go 2 down. Nope. 3 down. That can't be right. And it isn't. It's time to start counting. that's definitely the same height, so 2 down. Yep, there we go. We go up on this one, turn off run. This one is easier because now I can see, because it's so close. And turn back on running. And we can remove these. Now, this is very temporary. I have no intentions of using that kind of a system to take products off the mall in this series. At least I don't think so. It depends. But this is going to be inconvenient. I could always split it off, but then I'm going to be using... Well, I can use these two, actually. We'll see. We'll see. I won't make any definite decisions now. Connect these up. Then we can remove the splitters that we don't need. Like so. And then let's start with this one. That does not look correct. There we go. And there we go. So this thing is getting the correct materials. I'm going to put those 7 in there because I don't need them. The one thing that we haven't got up here yet is power. So power is next. And power down there is running on that here. So let's have a quick look. I don't think I want to have... No, what I want to do here is actually move these power poles instead. And you can be moved as well. I don't think that one has... Oh, it does. We can remove the power poles that are not in use. Connect that up to the hypertube. Remove that one. Connect that to there. I don't think this goes anywhere in that direction. Nope, it doesn't. Now we can place down a power pole here. And then we need to find the correct spot here. And I'm still using these when I want to mark the corner of an area. So this one goes there. And then we connect the power up there and there. There and there. Now, where is the connection? Okay, so the connection on these are on this side, which means we want to put down a power pole here and a power pole here. And then we connect this to the machine. And boom, we are now making the heavy modular frames, aka the tactical bore creeps. One thing that you need to be aware of with the manufacturers is that they consume 55 megawatts of power each, which is a lot. Why are this? Oh, it's a good idea to have the correct lift. Otherwise, we will be waiting forever. It uses 200 per minute, so Let's get this thing started. There we go. And then we have the glorious, magnificent animation in here. I know that I showed that in the previous episode, or previous series, rather. But this just doesn't get old. It's just awesome to watch. Let's go into the photo mode. Can I remove the grid? No, I can't. Well, at least you get to see. I should actually... Wait, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, so our first heavy modular frames have been produced. And it's now producing a second one. I really love this animation. There we go. Let's equip this again. And you might recognize that, because that's gonna be the thumbnail. Well, I might change it, but the thumbnail is going to be around here. Now, why did I put up the other one? Well, as you can see, this is a fairly expensive recipe to make. It makes 2 parts per minute. It requires a heck of a ton of screws, and it also requires these products here. If I go to the alternate recipe, the heavy encased frame, instead of using 10 modular frames, we'll be using 7.5 per minute. Instead of using 5 encased industrial beams, we will be going up to 9.3 something. I wonder if that goes away if I power this thing up. It does. 9.375 per minute. The steel pipes increase from 30 to 33.75 per minute. And we just remove the screws entirely from the entire equation and replace those with concrete. But we will be making 2.8 parts per minute instead of, or rather 2.81, rather than 2. So we go down a bit on the modular frames, we go up a bit on the encased industrial beams, a tiny bit on the steel pipes, and some on the concrete. So, but limestone is not an issue. Whereas having lots and lots of modular frame factories, we're going to need that anyways, but I'd rather have 1 or 2 of these rather than 1 or 2 of these. The recipe is rated as an S recipe, if I don't recall wrong. The thing with the modular frames is we really need the Mark IV belts before we can increase the modular frames manufacturing. And that is because each of these require 140 screws per minute, so currently we are actually not delivering enough screws for both of these to produce at full capacity, because the belt can only carry 270. But it doesn't seem to be an issue, because both of these are fully stocked. So I'm not sure what's the deal with that. But what you can see here is that they do require reinforced iron plates, 7.5 per minute and 140 screws. And we also need to expand the reinforced iron plates production, which will require more wire and more iron plate. Iron plate is our least concern, but the wire, we can make iron wire, which I will do. But again, we are limited by belt speed here. As you can see, I have 2 belts, Mark III, with wire coming in here. And one of them is almost dedicated to these. The other one is dedicated to the rotors and stators. But we also eventually need more motor production. And I might have to reorganize slightly how things are being done on this floor, because I think we need more than 4 of these. I don't remember, but I think we need more than 4 of these. I can do it back to back, which will kind of ruin my driveway here, but that's probably easier than moving everything around. As for the reinforced iron plates, I'm pretty sure I need to do something about that, because maybe make another array for those somewhere, because I'm not sure that 8 machines making reinforced iron plates is going to be enough. However, oh, these needs to go away. We are nearing the transition where we are going to go into the Megabase. It's a few episodes away yet, of course. I want all of the basic manufacturer products up and running, and I want to have the space elevator, the final tier of that done. But the plan now is to produce enough of these heavy modular frames, probably not using this recipe. I think I will change that recipe. I don't know if I need to make a separate episode for how to set up that, because I probably will do that using them all the way that I'm using it now. There is one annoying bit about that, and that is that I need to go and upgrade all of the belts that are underneath the base. But that's not too much of a big deal, because I can just build some foundations underneath there and run around and tear those down again afterwards. But yeah, the point now is to make enough of these. It's going to take a while, which is why I would prefer to have the other setup instead. I also need computers. That I want to have an episode for. The thing with the computers, and that's something that I need to address actually. The thing with the computers is that we don't have enough plastic. So I would have to expand the refinery to go into making computers. And why do we not have enough plastic? Well, the basic recipe requires 130 screws. That's fine. It requires 45 plastic. That's not fine. And it also requires 25 circuit boards. 25 circuit boards. That's made in an assembler. And it requires 30. Note, 30 plastic for 7.5 circuit boards. So 25, 7.5. And you can see the problem. Now I could go with a silicone circuit board. We get 12.5. Use copper sheets and silica instead of plastic. But then I would have to go get more quartz. Now that is definitely feasible, because the quartz isn't that far away. But before I do that, I would rather have trains, because trains is something that I haven't delved into at all. And the quartz is just far enough away that it would make sense to have a train station instead of having a belt going all that way. Because if you look at the map, those quartz nodes are somewhere down here. I believe there's 6 of them. And I believe all of them are normal. But I would have to belt them all the way down the hill here, in through here, yada yada yada, and all the way like that. So I don't think I can zoom enough out. But I already have a belt going from here, and I think that's long enough. That's going up this way, and then it meets the other belt and then comes down here. I don't think this is far enough away that it warrants a train. So any of the nodes that are in the desert area, I will most likely not use trains for, but any nodes that are outside of the desert area, which is denominated by, I think somewhere around here, yeah, there, you can see there, and then along here, and up here. So anything inside of this zone, I will belt. Anything outside, I will try to use trains. Our oil refinery area, we have our coal power plants down here. And then we have the oil refinery area out here. And then we are fetching oil from nodes over here, and I've marked 2 of the normal oil nodes that I can overclock so that I get 4 full pipes of oil into the oil refinery. But I also need to go hard drive hunting. Now, remove the map, minimap, please. There we go. The other recipe we can use is the Caterium circuit boards. Still requires plastic, but it uses quick wire instead. And I'm not sure which one is the best one to use here. I suspect the Caterium one is better. Let's see here. Circuit board. There we go. No, actually the silicone one is the best one. So we will be going for the silicone one, which means that I might actually have to belt in quartz, at least temporarily, and I can set up a train afterwards. Because getting this up and running ASAP with the silicone circuit board then is really, really important. The other recipe that we're going to use is the crystal computer, which then, instead of requiring a whopping 25 circuit boards for 2.5 computers, we require 7.5 circuit boards for 2.8 computers. And then we use crystal oscillators instead. And that's why I've prepared the standalone manufacturer up there. I think we're going to have 5 point something of manufacturers making crystal oscillators, so that we can have 2 assemblers making crystal computers, which will help us with the computers for a long while. Now, I've said that I would like to do all of the recipes, the base recipes, before I go into alternate recipes. But in this specific instance, when it comes to the computers, I'm going to leave it to you guys. Do you need to see me expand my refinery with plastic to make the basic recipes? Or are you fine with me using the alternate recipes from the get-go? That's the big question here. If I don't get an overwhelming amount of comments saying that you need to use the basic recipes to show us that first, I will use the alternate recipes, because it's still... I'm still showing how to set up a production line. And to be quite frank, this recipe, I don't think this recipe is good at all, because of its rather insane requirements. For me to make this, I'm going to have to expand my copper, I'm going to have to expand my oil substantially to combine this with the basic recipe for circuit boards. It's going to require a massive expansion of copper and oil. And then when I move to the alternate recipes, I have a lot of unused refineries and a lot of unused copper. There is plenty of copper in the desert. For the wire that is required for the cable, I can use iron wire for that, so that's not a problem. But for the copper sheets, I'm going to need copper. But it's not a problem. So if you guys want me to do that, then again, please tell me in the comments and I will. So the goal, obviously, is to get the products that I need to finish all of the tier research. Alternate fluid transport, it is not strictly necessary right now. Getting liquid biofuel would be nice, but it's not something that is massively important. But in tier 6, however, getting the expanded power infrastructure, which does require computers, as you can see, that gives us the Mark IV stuff. Now, I could handcraft these. It also gives us the fuel generator, which is also really important. I could handcraft the computers. I mean, crafting the computers, I need 100 of them. it's not a big issue for me to handcraft them. I would need to handcraft a whole bunch of circuit boards. So it would take time. But it's not a problem for me to handcraft them. But if I can automate the process instead of handcrafting them, that's also in line with what I'm trying to achieve with this tutorial series. So I know that I did handcraft in tier 3 and 4, but now we have enough that it's actually more sensible to do this the proper way, which the developers intended, which is to actually make the products in the assemblers and the manufacturers, and then go open the tiers when you have those things automated in your base. The jetpack is nice, but not strictly necessary. The inventory slots, however, is the main reason why I want this. But then also I need the monorail so that I can start using trains, and that's going to be fiddly, to put it mildly. I'm going to spend a lot of time experimenting with that. And yes, I'm going to do that off camera because I experimented with trains in my previous episode or previous series, and I haven't really perfected that because, yeah, I didn't even have a freight train. I just built a train line with an electric locomotive and I drove around a little bit just to show off the trains, but I want to actually build a proper railway system, and it's fairly complicated, and I need to understand how to build the railways in the best possible manner because it's difficult. And the reason why it's difficult, it's not difficult to place down the rails, that's quite easy. But the reason why it's difficult is because the railways are huge. So you need to be able to see what you're doing, and that's a challenge. When I have understood how to do it, I will, of course, record an episode of me building railways. It might even be 2 episodes. It might be one for the foundation work, repairing the railways and so forth, and then 1 episode for how to set them up. Do note that currently there is no signal system. There is also no collision system, so trains can happily drive through one another, which I find silly. That means that I need to build... you can actually get away with a 1-track system because the trains will just happily drive straight through one another without any kind of accident. But I'd rather build a 2-lane system. And for those of you who enjoy left-hand drive, I do apologize, but I prefer right-hand drive. So I'm going to do that, a right-hand drive railroad system. There's also the matter of understanding how to make a railway system in such a fashion that it actually is efficient. Because with the belts you have the predictability. You know that a belt will transport 270 or 480 or 720. With the railroads, there are various factors that affect how the products are being transported in terms of items per minute. And Total Eclipse has a video that he uploaded yesterday, I think, or the day before. It would probably be the day before, since this video is going to be published tomorrow. But I think that he came up with a 300-meter straight railroad would have a transportation of 1,300 something items per minute. But you need to have enough trains running on the railroad so that you never run out of the product that you're transporting into the destination station, where you take that product out of the destination station and put it into the production lines in the factory. Another thing that I also need to consider is, do I want to transport the ores directly into the factory, or do I want to have smelting outposts where I smelt down the products out at the outpost and then transport the ingots into the factory? Do I want to have outposts that I build the constructor, assemblers and so forth, and make the products and then transport the products into the factory? It's a daunting prospect, and since I haven't used Rails, this is going to be quite the new experience for me as well. This is the main thing that I'm changing from my previous series, is that this series I do intend to use trains more actively. So yeah, there you have it. This one is the priority. Getting the Mark IV belt so that we can transport up to 480 resources per minute is a critical one, and that also gives us the fuel generators, which is also critical because we are going to need a lot of power, much more than the 2,400 that we have now. I estimate that we are going to need at least 10,000, and then maybe after that we will go into nuclear in some distant remote part of the map. I haven't done that either, so but those parts, the nuclear facility and when we need 10,000 power and so forth, that's going to be in the next series, which is the follow-up to this series, which is the actual Megabase. For now, I think that we should round off this episode. This episode became much longer than I expected, actually. So please leave your comments, and if you have any questions as well, do leave those in the comment section. And if you want, you are very welcome to join us in our Discord server. You will find the link to that in the description below. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I will be seeing you all in the next episode.